Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you. Hey everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at BrickFair Chantilly, and we've got this huge collaborative city layout on display. So there are 11 builders involved here. We've got one of them that's going to give us an overview of what we have here.
Hi there, my name is Michael. This build is kind of a offshoot of the new Hashima universe. It's called Medinat Musawrah, which is Arabic for the walled city. We kind of wanted to take city building in a bit of a different direction this year. We went like really tall last year, and this year we're workshopping the sprawl. So I can kind of take you through my section real quick. It's 11 collaborators plus some like cameo appearances to help finish off some work. But to start off, we like planned out this whole collab to have a very dense feel, something very like viewport focused, where you have to kind of get down low to like see all the details that we packed in there. It kind of rose from a studio map of like 3 different modules, and our 11 contributors just like chose the lots to build, and then like we set like a height restriction, and then that was about it. That like just go wild. We're developing a style guide for it, and eventually going to have to like try to expand this in the future. But so like my corner buildings here, I focus very heavily on using like lighting and like signage to give the feeling of like an alleyway or like a back street in a city like Cairo or Beirut, where there's like some just colorful streetscapes going on, some people having brunch, feeding cats. There's a guy who dropped his pita pocket that's getting pilfered by seagulls right there. There's a cat stealing French fries from that pink plate over there, and then the kebab shop line cook is outside smoking. So we have this like very unique look to it, and like Middle Eastern architecture is one of those things that we really love to build, but doesn't really get a whole lot of love outside of like the military section, which is a bit of a shame in our opinion. So we wanted to kind of like do a like peacetime Middle Eastern build, because we felt it was something that was like fresh. It was new, it wasn't like Japanese style cyberpunk, and it would kind of like get people more excited to like do a different style of city building. So we can bring it over to George, who built kind of like the cornerstone of the collab, based on this like amazing brutalist structure in, I think, Senegal, right?
No, I think it's the Ivory Coast.
Yeah,
Ivory Coast.
So you can go to you, George.
It's called La Pyramid, and as you can see, shaped like a pyramid. That was kind of the inception for this whole collab. I think I started this right after we finished doing New Hashima at Brick World last year, and kind of really wanted to play around with having an open market down on the bottom. So there's these little stalls kind of going from left to right around. There's a little spice market. There's a laundromat. Then on the other side, there's a rug store. And then kind of around the back, you can't see it, but there's a guy selling African masks, and then a little cafe bookstore. And I kind of modeled this more after corporate offices, just kind of big scale, something you would see kind of right in the plaza, maybe a little bit newer than everything else, kind of more put together. And then we kind of tried to create a vibe where it kind of looks a little bit more run down the further you get from this central point. And then inspired a lot by seeing all the billboards and ads up in Cairo. So I've got this Rolex sign up here that I saw this really cool Orient one in Cairo, and it was fun to use all the chrome pieces to try to get that match and shine. Obviously the Coca-Cola ad with the polar bear. The Vitrock ad it's got a mango on it, and then there's the Marlboro sign, of course. And then we kind of shifted the vibe on this. We were kind of going for more rioting to begin with, and we kind of scaled that back, so it's kind of like the onset of that. And so that's what inspired this banner that's hanging off the front, which says machines or martyrs. So it's kind of like they're trying to protest and say, we don't want to be machines or just killing us in the streets. So really inspired by some of the protests, and then just the tiniest of offsets, so it looks like it's really hanging off the side of the building there. And then we've got a punk band on the roof of the Sand Blue building. And then a lot of the little alleyways on the backside through Mike's and Brian's sections see right down to the bottom floor on the backside, which we really didn't plan any of that out exactly, but it's just funny how that stuff works out.
Yeah, I love the entryway design here.
Yes,
It's really nice.
Thank you. And I love using, I can't remember if they're ferry pieces or for airplanes, but those white 2x4 bricks with the red, with the little black windows on there work great for that kind of accent and detail. And then I made a bunch of these vehicles as well. The jingle truck, I think, is the favorite one, using the Golden Lands Belleville printed 2x2 tiles around the sides, and then all the chrome pieces to have all those accents on there.
Perfect. Okay, and then who's up next?
We're probably going to pass it off to Brian right here.
Okay.
Oh boy.
All right, so my name is Brian. I knocked out these 3 buildings here, so the white one, the tan one, and the sand blue one. And, you know, for me, being part of this build, I always wanted to do a Middle Eastern city, a very dense but low kind of environment, and we were able to knock that out this year. One of the things that I was super pleased with that I did was on the sand blue building, making it a little narrower with a little alleyway in between, because one of the things that I found when I lived in the Middle East was that you know, you would have these little tiny alleyways that, you know, you would use to get to the market or get to a bar or whatever. And so, you know, it was really important for me to kind of slide that into my section. And then, of course, also a clothesline on top to kind of give the city some character and to provide a little bit of a, you know, a sense of life going on in the city at the same time. George and I, you know, when we're going through all of this, I thought one of the really cool things was you had to constantly communicate with your neighbors in order to know where exactly you were going to line up. George told me he had a 9-stud overhang on the pyramid, and one of the things you'll see is we got it with a 1-tile gap. So quite close, but you know, it works out really well because you have this kind of dim alleyway leading into the courtyard down there in the middle. So for me, this was like a really a bucket list kind of Lego build to knock out. So I had a lot of fun, you know, getting after it. And for me, I don't do a lot of buildings. I do a lot of vehicles. So it's also a new challenge for me to kind of take on, and I had a real blast doing it. We can kick it back over to Mike to do the courtyard and kind of talk about what we got going on in the interior.
Cool. Okay, so our next section?
So I just want to give a quick overview of the interior here, where there's some people that had to just bring their builds sent down with someone else, and they couldn't be here. But one of the big parts of this that we want to kind of improve upon next year is visibility into the middle of the build. Maybe dropping the table down a little bit would help. But we have this gorgeous medium nougat and tan building from Ryan Keith. He had the kind of challenge of being the most tucked away building back here, while still providing an amazing amount of detail. Fortunately, it all really worked out well with how George's pyramid creates this deep cut into the back alleyways. And I'm really happy that all of our contributors gave it their all with every single side of their building, so that even in the off chance that it would be seen, they made a spectacular showing of it. We got some monkeys fighting on a power line here. It's you know, average day in the city, really. That's really about it, I guess, for that section. So I'm going to pass it back over to Ben Brickson over here. You might recognize him from the Bionicle build, the legend himself. Let's go. Ben.
Awesome.
Hey, Ben Brickson, Ben Grayson here. And like Mike said, Mike, appreciate the awesome interview. You're a stellar fellow. He pointed out this middle section there. I have the tower, or the building beneath the red and white pyramid going now, the gold chrome. It's more of a simple build, but being in that section, it's really about getting some nice density in this city. Because like Mike said, there's a lot of beautiful sightlines going through, a lot of interesting details around. One that I'd like to point out is using some of the Lord of the Rings tiles printed up there on that top kind of penthouse area, as well as some of the old, it's like a Star Wars gun piece in tan, but you get some of that crenellation in a column, which is a fun detail. Above that, the other thing is the radio tower. You can see it tapers up from kind of a 5x5 base with various interspacing, and then you get some thinner steel members, or what looks like it's using a few rubber bands around there to kind of capture that white and red, which kind of fun idea. I mean, if you have hundreds of rubber bands, what else are you really going to do with them? You're not going to use them in a lot, so. But it gives it that kind of Eiffel Tower type shape, which is quite fun. Moving around to the other side here, I have this kind of corridor building as well. I say corridor because behind this, we'll introduce Tanner in a minute, and he has a beautiful centerpiece. But prior to that, it focuses on having two kind of shops in the center, a beautiful arch below, where if you look up, there's kind of a tiled ceiling in there, just using some flower petals, and then you've got some clutch from plates stuck into the bottom of, I think it's 12 wide arches, one of those larger ones. But as you can kind of continue up past that, you have some of the printed tiles and some of the Chinese New Year sets. Again, a lot of fun printed elements in this build. Then there's 2 thinner towers, a lavender off to the right, and then the dark tan off to the left. And why these are split apart is to get more of those view cords into the city. So you kind of see some of the apartments, the wires, various billboards, AC units, HVAC, all this sorts of stuff stuck to either face of it. Below, more cabling, solar panels, water towers, very kind of clustered living in a way. And so back down to the base here, get some nice shots. You can see through that inner fountain area, and we'll introduce Tanner here. He's got a knack for immaculate detail, but he's too humble to say it himself. So without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Tanner here.
Okay.
Hi. I built the Shadurvan, the small fountain building in the middle. It's a fountain found in the courtyards of mosques. I tried to go for a marble look with the light flesh and white and tan. Some fun kind of placement to make the colors blend together, you know? And it's such a small part of this monumental, wonderful mosque. I'm just happy to be here. So I'll keep it quick. The thing I really want to talk about is the posts on the outside of this octagonal structure. So those are all legally held in through telescopes, which are connecting it. They're wedged between round 1x1 plates, and it fits very well. But at the bottom, they are held in snugly by Thanos gems, the gems from the Infinity Gauntlet. They fit nicely where some headlight bricks leave a gap in the octagonal structure. So yeah, it was really fun to participate and have some cool techniques going on, and fun to study the architecture and try to get it right. And yeah, pretty small part, but
no, it's all those little details that come together no matter how big or small and just make it what it is. So fantastic work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Here we go then. Who's up next?
So we're going to send it over to our boy Zach Bean for this corner section here. Zach is right behind you. He did these 2 corner structures, which we'll explain a little bit. It's like a mosque and an apartment building.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Zach Bean. So I did the 2 corner structures here. So in the front, we have the gray apartment building. I wanted something a little different. Everybody chose typical colors for the region, some, subdued blues, some whites, some tans, some dark tans. I chose like a more brutalist approach for architecture with some light gray and then also some very hard edges with like how rectangular everything is. But I also wanted to throw a little color in as well with the sand green and then the wooden structures on the end there to also match with Michael, who did the section on the back corner over there. And then just a little bit of foliage around the shops on the bottom level. But coalescing very well into the mosque in the tall minaret, which is the tallest point in the build. We kind of wanted to bring a focal point, and we chose what would be accurate for the region, which is, the places of worship. So that was the kind of the vibe and the plan there. And throwing in some blues as well with that white structure. And then another member that's not here, Evan, has the apartment building on the end of the mosque there. So we worked together. He brought a little bit more texture using the 1x2 Technic bricks with the cross holes in them, giving it a nice bit of texture. And I did the checkerboard with the white and the blue there just to, make things mesh a little bit. But yeah, basically just getting everything to mesh together in one feel and just bringing all the different types of architecture together and making it look good. So
Yeah. No, it really does. I mean, just the contrast, the white and blue, and then the grays, like you said, everything just creates such unique parts of the city.
Yeah. It was really fun to put together. Making it all work when we got here. A few of us forgot to do the road sections for the build, but I like to say that you can't tell. After knowing it, you probably can with the way that we made it work. But yeah, it's that's part of the fun of doing the builds. And when you get together, you find out things don't fit, and then you make it work. So.
Okay. And then who do we have up next here? Here we go. Our next build, if you want to introduce yourself.
What's up? My name's Tobias. I was part of the past couple new Hashimas, as well as some other Bro Lug and Thug Lug displays. So my building is adjacent to Evan, who couldn't be here today with those axle bricks on the balcony. That was his section. But that tan building all the way to the corner with the brown and white on the end there with the sand green at the bottom, that was my section. I started this in like February, so I actually had some time to really kind of plan it out. And it started with this tan building. We had some of these mashrabiyas, these wooden outcroppings, these sort of extended balconies, these with like louvers on them. And this white building, actually, it wasn't in the floor plan. I had been building it. It was based on this building in Turkey I had seen on Pinterest or something. And I was building it completely separately, and it was sort of inserted into the footprint of the collab, which was nice because I'm on the corner, so I was not interfering. There wasn't any tolerance issues with anyone else's section. But yeah, no, it was just kind of testing out color combinations and techniques I've been wanting to do for a while. This one I was pretty proud of. With these back-to-back panels, sort of looking like I-beams or wide flanges embedded in the wall, with a little rust coming down onto the stucco underneath. And then that blue and white building on the end is also mine. It's fun to work in a real narrow footprint. It was, a 9 wide or something, much less than I'm used to working with, typically like a 32 or something. All the water towers and everything were built sort of modularly. They're connected, but they all came in a box, and we kind of distributed them amongst the collaboration. And yeah, no, it was an honor. I think this was a vision we'd had for a while of a sort of more monochromatic, realistic daily slice of life sort of build, rather than the in your face, more like neon ones that we've been used to making in the past 5 years. Yeah, no,
For sure.
It's great. We got a little cockfight going on down there too.
No, this still turned out incredible. So we're kind of making our way back around to where we started now. We have our next builder here.
Hi, I'm Brian O'Leary. I'm from Massachusetts, and I built kind of from the dark tan part here to the white tower here. My main thing with this, I wanted to do lots of inward tunnels. So if you zoom down to the marketplace there, you can kind of see all the way through, and then I have a tunnel under the tech store there, the booze. And yeah, this was so much fun to make. Totally didn't build the top half in 5 days, 12 hours a day, so.
What are some of the details in that section that you were able to pack in there?
So one of my favorite ones, actually the first thing I built was on the tan building there. There's the goat motifs using those modified 1x1 bricks there. Also, I love the building with the green accents there. That's from a picture I found from Eritrea, I believe. So that's a very cool, lots of course, Middle Eastern inspiration throughout this whole thing. Mike and I, we tried to match up our roof lines a little bit with the black and the dark orange. Yeah.
No, it looks fantastic. So I'm glad you were able to get in here and show off your section. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I think that just about wraps it up for all of our contributors here. And we have to shout out some of the ones that are not here with us, of course, like Ryan's earlier, but like Evan, Lego Sim, has this like white building next to the mosque. He just sent it down with us and we couldn't do it, but like he has a little tea shop, a little cafe, has some custom signage for it, and some apartments above it. We have Luke Laurie's in the middle that you kind of saw earlier. It's the tea shop and the rug shop. From this angle, it's not quite viewable, but like you got plenty of shots of it earlier. And then shout out to Jack Spittler, who came through in like the last hours of Friday to build the rest of the roadways in the front of the build that you saw. So I think that just about wraps it up for Medinat Musawrah. Thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Do you guys ever try to estimate the total piece count in a layout like this?
We could try. It's definitely like over like 5 figures. I'd probably say like close to 50K, maybe more. We're hoping to really up those numbers next year, though. It's always a game of getting it higher and higher.
Yeah, no, this is a fantastic start, though, and once again, incredible amounts of detail here. Kind of like you said, we started with New Hashima, and now you're branching off into other areas like this, so thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.